Shadow of the Erdtree is an expansion for Elden Ring that comes out June 21st. It looks like it's going to be a great addition to the base game, and be a lot of fun. But I'm not here to talk about that today. Today I want to talk about how awful Sony is, for the fourth time on my channel. So what exactly does Sony have to do with the DLC made entirely separate from them? Well, as always, it's never straightforward, and I'm going to have to spend several minutes explaining. I've talked about as well. The importance of preservation and how little these massive companies care about it. What I will be covering today is a multitude of topics, with the major point being preservation. With PlayStation being the market leader for their home console market, they have a certain responsibility in how they direct the future of the marketplace. They have shown many times that they just don't care about their player base, or care even less for their actual good games. This is somewhat related to the main point of preserving games, especially on how they have yet to port their older games to modern consoles or the PC. Sony has not only dropped the ball multiple times with their track record, but outright laughed in our faces about it as well. How this applies to Elden Ring is fairly simple. Elden Ring was a cultural phenomenon when it released on February of 2022. It was talked about for the entire year by people who've never played or ever heard of a Souls game. This game is very important to many people, myself included. I can't help but ask, just why isn't there more effort into preserving this title? Elden Ring is getting a Game of the Year version of the game that comes with the base game, hopefully all of the updates as well, since the day one version is very much so unfinished. That sounds all fine and dandy until you look more into this. They're selling this version of Elden Ring that comes with the upcoming DLC. You're paying $80 for the base game and DLC with just a code? You know full well they could probably fit it on the disc, or even put another disc in there. With how successful Elden Ring was, you could just go a step further to ensure the entire game is on the disc, but nope, we can't have that getting in the way of our profits. While that may seem like the only reason for this happening, answer for this may be much more complicated, with many factors being at play. Although there have been previous FromSoft games, i.e. Dark Souls 3, 2, 1, Bloodborne, all coming with it on the disc, so you can install it to your drive without needing to connect to their servers. Some of the best games that I consider all-time greats are preserved, while Elden Ring doesn't get the same treatment, nor Sekiro. So to understand this better, you need to take a step back and observe this already happening throughout the industry of other console manufacturers. Most recently, the 3DS and the Wii U servers have gone down permanently. This means any DLC or games that you wanted to obtain legally is now impossible. Oh, just buy it off the second-hand market. Yeah, take one look at those fucking prices and come back to me on that one. So you're just screwed with there being no way to get the game or its DLC. Say, even if you bought the game, say Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, the DLC that you want to download that you paid for is no longer possible for you to get. The reality is that no one cares about this bleak all-digital future that is approaching rapidly. You often hear about how people who think like I do are clinging to our old ways that are not important. One day, people will come to see that you don't want them having complete control over how you obtain games. In this new future, you will own nothing and you'll be happy about it, damn it. Moving back to answering why this is happening. This is regarding their new policy on expansions that was enacted sometime or at or around the start of the 9th generation of consoles. This change may seem simple at surface level, but it has caused a lot of problems. Sony now requires developers to make an entirely new SKU for a later version of that same game. What that means exactly is that they must compile another version of the game, creating a new SKU to sell. This can be all with all the DLC included, or just updates they've pushed out, although it seems that this is inconsistent as well. A Sony first-party studio, Guerrilla Games, put the title Horizon Forbidden West, or as some of you may know in the Elden Ring community, the game that came out a week before Elden Ring. Anyhow, this complete version of the game comes with all DLC, which is just all the updates on the disc, with no compromises. Does Sony enforce this policy differently for whomever they work with, or is this just a completely different version of it on a different SKU? This might not be that big of a deal until you consider the time, money, and effort it would take to get this done. Bandai Namco doesn't want to make that effort. You would think because From Software recently acquired IP rights to Elden Ring, they would make better decisions. But it seems that Bandai is still making these awful judgment calls, which is well within their track record. Not to get too off topic. Another case of this happening, in the other direction, similar to Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, The Phantom Liberty, that expansion came out, and they put out a version on the PS5 and Xbox Series. Although, the PS5 version didn't have the DLC on the disc. You had to use a code, while the Xbox version had it all on the disc. Why is that? There's no reason for this not to be on the disc, for one, and the other to have the disc. This is fucking stupid. So yeah, this is about all that I can say. I'm not an expert. I don't understand Sony's inner workings. I don't work at From Software. I know nothing. I'm just bitching and complaining. And, you know, people say that does nothing, that achieves nothing. It worked recently with Helldivers, so I'm hoping that my voice of very, very little influence can perhaps persuade someone to complain and bitch as well. And maybe, just maybe, someone somewhere will care. Although the brutal reality of the situation is that no one really gives a fuck about physical versions of games anymore. They don't care about preservation. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say an uphill battle. It's actually worse than that. We're below ground zero on this one. Last thing, this video took a stupid amount of time. It wasn't even anything that impressive. Did a lot of research, got a lot of sidetracking, and I couldn't find any conclusive answers, so it's all speculative. More videos will come in time. Hopefully not this amount of time. But I hope to make more, and I will be streaming more. So until then. And that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice rest of your day.